So this is the homework help for page 3, right? So starting off with question 1 here. So remember, for each of these problems, we need our diamond, right, or just an X, and our box. Right? Our diamond is to help us find the factors, right? And the box, right, we're going to use to find the area model, the reverse area model. Right, and then I just put these open parentheses because just to remind you that our answer, right, won't be the box, won't be the diamond, but our answer will be two, right, factors that will give us this, expression. Right, so the first things first is we always multiply, right, the first and the last term together. 6 times x squared is 6x squared. And we put the middle term on the bottom. And in the box, we put the first and the last in the corners. Okay, so now, first things first, we got to do the diamond problem. So we got to think about all the factors of 6x squared, right? And which one of them will give us 5x? So, right, 1x times 6x is 6x squared. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. But which of these, if we add them together, will give us 5x? So we add 1x and 6x together, we get 7x. That's not good. We add 2x and 3x together, and we get 5x. That works, right? That works. So now we're going to put 2x and 3x in our diamond, right? We completed the diamond now, right? 2x times 3x is 6x squared, and 2x plus 3x is 5x, right? Remember, these two got to multiply to the top, and they got to add to the bottom. And since we filled these in, we're going to fill these boxes in, 2x and 3x respectively, right? It doesn't matter. You could put the 2x here, the 3x here. It's going to work. So now, right, let's take a look at the top left box. Right, the only two things that we could multiply together to give us x squared are x and x. So remember, if this is an x, we could drop down, make that an x. This is an x, we could drop all the way across and make that an x. Okay, so now we got to think here, right? Like x times what is 3x? Well, x times 3 is 3x. Since there's a plus 3 here, there's a plus 3 here. Now 3 times what is 6? 3 times 2 is 6. Fill that in over here. And we're good, right? We got our length and our width. So now we fill that in for our answer, right? Our length times our width. We got the answer to number 1. So for number 2, remember, every problem we need a diamond and a box. If I don't see you have your diamond and box written, then I'm going to assume that you just copied the answers, right? While some of them we could do in our head, certainly problems like this where they lead with a number rather than a variable, those are more tricky to do in our head. So anyways, to do this problem, we multiply 2x squared times 3. We get 6x squared. We put the middle term on the bottom, right? First and the last we put in the corners. So now we got to think about all the numbers that multiply to 6x squared, right? It's actually the same as before. And add to 5x, right? Same as before. So, right, 1x and 6x makes 7x. 2x and 3x makes 5x, so that works. We can fill it in there, right? Now our diamond works. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. 2x plus 3x is 5x. They got to multiply to the top and add to the bottom. So now we're going to fill in 2x and 3x, right? So we see here how they both have a 2x, right? We know this is 2x squared, but they both have a 2x. So we're going to put 2x here and 2x times x, right? If there's a 2x here, there has to be an x here, right? Because this has an x squared. Right, so now we could drop down and drop across. That's right, 2x and 2x. So now we got to think about like x times what is 3x, right? X times 3 is 3x. Since there's a 3 here, there will be a 3 down here. Then you got to think about 3 times what is 3? 3 times 1 is 3. So there's a 1 there. We got our length and we got our width. So since we have our length and our width, we're just going to fill it in here and we're good. Alright, so we got a couple more. I'm going to do 1 through 4. Alright, so we got another one after this. So every problem we need a diamond and a box, or a generic rectangle, if you will. So 3x squared times 1 is just 3x squared. The middle term goes on the bottom. The first and the last go in the corners. Remember, this was an algorithm because it'll work every single time. Unless if the problem's not factorable. So now we're trying to think about the products of 3x squared, right? The only things that we can multiply to get to 3 are 1 and 3, right? So 1x and 3x. Hopefully this will add up to be 4x. Otherwise, it'll not be factorable. But lo and behold, 1x and 3x does indeed add together to give us 4x, right? That works. So we could put 1x and 3x there, right? And we see here that 1x plus 3x is 4x, and 1x times 3x is 3x squared, which is exactly what we wanted. We want it so it multiplies to the top, and for these two to add together to give us the bottom. Remember, whatever we fill in here is also what we fill in the two missing boxes of our generic rectangle. So you see here, we have a 3x squared and a 3x. So we're going to put 3x here, right? And since this is 3x squared, there has to be another x to account for that second x in the x squared, right? So always try and think like this top left box is always going to, right? They're always at, if it's x squared, it's always going to at least have an x and an x. So then you just got to think about the number before, right? You could also think about the greatest common factor, right? These both have an x in them, so you could pull out an x here. So now, right, there's an x here, 3x here, drop it down, drop it across. Now 3x times what is 3x? 3x times 1 is 3x. So you could drop that down too. And then 1 times what is 1? 1 times 1 is 1. So we drop that across. We got our length. We got our width. And all we have to do is fill it in here. Right, 3x plus 1, x plus 1. Alright, so now we got one more problem for you. So now we got 3x squared plus 30x plus 75. And now this problem's worrying me because I'm sitting here thinking these are all pretty big numbers. I don't want it, like 3x times 75 is like 225x squared. Do I want to think about all the numbers that multiply together to give me 225x? Because that seems kind of difficult. So what we're going to do instead, right, is we got to think about what number goes into all these, right? Well, 3 goes into 3. 3 goes into 30. Does 3 go into 25? Yeah, that's like 3/4, right? 0.75. So 3 goes into all these numbers. So we're going to divide everything. We're going to reverse distribute, right? 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times 10x is 30x. And 3 times 25 is 75. So now we got these. So now we got a smaller one. So now we only got to multiply. We could like ignore this 3, right? So we multiply the x squared and the 25 to get 25x squared. The middle goes on the bottom, 10x. The first and the last go in the corners. Right? And we're ignoring the 3. The 3 will just drop down in our final answer. So now we got to think about the numbers that multiply together to give us 25x squared. Right? That's 1 and 25x. So that gives us 26x. Right? We want them to add to 10x. 5x times 5x is 25x. You add them together, you get 10x, so that works. So we're going to put a 5x here and a 5x here. Which means we could also put a 5x here and a 5x here. Right, so now, right, the only two things that multiply together to give us x squared are x and x. We could think, right, this row both have an x, this row both have an x, or column both have an x. Right, x here, we could drop down. X here, we could drop across. Oops. Alright, so x times what is 5x? X times 5 is 5x, so we can drop down a 5 here. And 5 times what is 25? 5 times 5 is 25. So then we can drop that across here, right? We got our length. We got our width. So now when we fill it in here, right, remember the 3 drops down. Oops, I forgot to change the answer. The 3 drops down. Then we have right. So the 3 drops down, and we have the x plus 5, right, for our final answer.